All right, joining me on Life's Playbook ahead of Father's Day is Panthers quarterback Will Grier and his dad, and now Providence Day School head coach Chad Grier. Guys, thanks for joining us. Happy Father's Day weekend.
Thanks. Appreciate you having us.
So, Chad, I guess I'll start with you. And we know what Will is like now as our Panthers quarterback, but what was he like as a kid?
Fiercely competitive, just wanted to win at everything, and but also really had an unusually kind disposition about him. As a young kid, even in sports, he just was always concerned with, whether it was basketball, making sure everybody scored, everybody got to take a shot, or whatever he was doing. He just, as competitive as he was always very aware of those around him. So pretty special kid. Turned out okay.
Will, do you have a memory of the first time you realized that your dad is like a head football coach? He's a football coach that people follow, that leads. Did you have a memory of that pretty early on?
Yeah, I've got, I'd say probably one of my earliest memories is he used to be involved with a group, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. They did football camps. They still do them. They're a pretty prominent group. And way back when, we would go to these camps, and I was really young, but I would try and jump in, and he was coaching, age ranges from middle school, high school kids, and I would always just try to soak in and stuff he was saying and learn and stuff. And I just remember being really young and watching the high school kids throw and wanting to be like them. So and that's kind of how I used to spend my summers when I was a kid.
So now that we're a handful of years removed from your career at Davidson Day, Will, can you guys both just sum up the experience of what it was like to be father, son, and quarterback all wrapped into one? I'll start with you, Chad.
It was really hard to start because not only was it coaching your son, it was coaching your son in a brand new program where there was no history and no tradition. And so really trying to establish that. And the way we run our program is very culture driven. So whatever the standard was, Will was expected to be that plus some, and he could never dip below it. So he was a young teenager growing up, trying to figure out life in general. And you got, your dad is this, type A, over the top, grinded out coach. And it wasn't easy on him. And the first couple of years were tough on us. But I would tell you that probably one of the most special things that ever happened in my life, other than the birth of all four of my boys, was his very last high school game. Coming off the field, somebody got a picture of he just kind of fell into me and hugged me, winning a third straight state championship. He just was National Player of the Year, but just kind of all to come together. That whole senior year experience made everything we'd gone through so worth it. I mean, we spent the whole senior year just becoming more like friends. He was another coach on the field, but we'd come home from practice and watch Big Bang Theory reruns on the couch, eating leftovers even. It just was a really almost magical senior year for me with him. It was very cool.
Yeah, Will, as you kind of zoom out on those times, you kind of remember the challenges, but also the reward of it?
Yeah, no doubt. I remember more so the reward than the challenges. Those were obviously there. I think that's how anything worth anything is started in life, is with challenges that you have to overcome, and that was part of the journey. And but I remember the good times. Maybe that's kind of my brain just tricking me, but I remember winning a lot. I remember learning, me and my dad challenging each other over the years to get better. He always kind of pushed me over the top, and at first I fought it, and then I kind of understood it and accepted it. And that's kind of the culture aspect he was talking about, where it kind of bled into my teammates. But I learned a lot and enjoyed it, and I think kind of made me the player that I was when I went to Florida. My freshman year, I was a young kid going to a big school, long way from home, and that presented its challenges to me, but I was ready for it.
Well, with everything going on today, I know football is kind of it acts as a unifier. What did you learn from your dad as a coach in terms of treating everybody on the team equally and kind of promoting inclusion that I think we would all like to see in our society today?
Yeah, I think we are people that believe in that just as a part of life. Like you said, I know sports tends to, um, that's kind of a way how you see, good examples of that, I guess. But we've just always instilled that as a part of life since I was young. My dad's always been in sports, so maybe that's kind of why he obviously played sports growing up, and we were just around all kinds of people and loved and treated everybody equally my whole life, and that's just kind of what we believe in, not just in sports but in life in general. And we feel very strongly about these issues, and I've really been heartbroken for a long time, but have tried to use our influence in the community to spread love. And that's what I believe in, that's what we believe in, and have always tried to do that. And as our platform grows, as our voice grows, the stronger we are trying to push love throughout everybody. And I think you can ask around the community and ask around people that we know, and people that are lifelong friends that we still talk to very often. They feel that influence, and the idea and the goal is to spread this nationwide and really worldwide. And this should be a non-issue yesterday. So, really just heartbroken at the events that have transpired. But, I don't, again, I like to focus on positive, and I think that there's room for us to grow here. There's room for us to get better. There's room for us to listen and learn, but also to just spread love and know that in our hearts that this is, this isn't something that, should have ever been an issue. And, this is something that is easily corrected by spreading love. So that's what I'm trying to do, and continue the fight. And, hopefully people will see it through.
Chad, as you bring another group of young men together on the field this summer to get ready for hopefully a fall season with all of this going on, what do you plan to tell them? How do you address this kind of stuff with that group?
We addressed it almost as the timeline worked, and events unfolded. We had to address it remotely. So as I hadn't even met a lot of these young people in person, just had them do it on the phone or via Zoom and Google Meet, whatever. And I think for me, it's not something as a coach that I can stick my head in the sand about. I mean, I have the opportunity and the platform to influence young people of all backgrounds, socioeconomic, cultural, racial, religious, and it's important that I think for me as a coach, and for all coaches, and I think there's a lot of great men out there that coach for the right reasons that feel the same way. It's we need to be a voice to not so much a voice, but an ear. And I can't pretend to say I understand what it feels like to be Black, to be discriminated against the way that a lot of these people have unfortunately experienced. And I don't know what that feels like. It's heartbreaking to think of a young person, regardless of color, that's fearful or uncomfortable to get pulled over for a traffic violation. And I'm not an anti-police person at all. In fact, I'm very thankful and respectful of all who serve. I'm a big servant leader guy, but I also think that it is clearly there's a difference that we have to value and appreciate and learn. And so as a coach, my point is I want the boys to know that I'm here to listen. I'll give you advice best I can on any topic you ever want to talk about, but I need to learn, and I need to learn what I can do different or better, and then help share that. But I think more than anything, just for the boys to know that I'm somebody they can talk to and trust, and will listen and do whatever I can to help them. That's really kind of my position.
Will, what did you learn about being a dad from your dad that you didn't realize until you were a dad?
Oh man. Well, there's no, at least I haven't found an encyclopedia on how to parent. That's another challenge, that has its own nuances. And, I have two girls, which is, my dad has four boys. So there's certain things that carry over, and then there's certain things you're like, girls are different. And, it's been a fun challenge. I learned a lot, about parenting, and really life in general from him, not only because he was my dad, because he was my coach. I mean, I was listening to him and what he was sharing with the team. I was getting that message as well from, my coach, who was also my dad. So I learned a lot. Um, I feel like just coaching in general taught me a lot about, football. Like hearing from a coach taught me a lot about life and parenting. There's a lot of life skills that go into playing a team sport. Um, to point at one thing, I would say just the ability to influence your kids, how easily influenced they are, and how careful. I see this sign when it goes to when it goes to my dad's video. I see the "Do the Little Things Right" sign behind them, and it says, I mean, that's like that's funny to me. I've heard it my whole life, but I mean, kids are so easily influenced, and every little thing you do, it matters. Your influence is so huge on them, and the position I'm in, I have an influence to the youth in general, and I just know how much every little thing I do matters. So I try to, do all the little things correctly and try and put out, a positive influence to everybody, including my kids. That's a big part of parenting for me is, don't tell them what to do, just show them, what is right, really show them, use actions, and less words. So that was really impactful on me.
Chad, what is it like to see your son as a father himself?
Probably the most proud of him I've ever been. I mean, of all the things he's done that are great, and he's I think all kids are special. Certainly your own, you believe they're the best thing ever. But he just is a incredibly special young person who has matured into a very old soul very quickly. And watching what he did in college with he and Jeannie and becoming parents at a very young age when he's in the middle of transitioning schools and a Heisman campaign and all that goes around that and leading his team and, and oh, by the way, here's a brand new baby. Good luck with it. Living in the college budget and the college situation, the way he handled that and they handled that with such class and grace, and watching how he loves and dotes on his daughters and his wife, just as a dad, that you really can't want anything more for your child. It's pretty cool.
All right,
Yeah,
go ahead, Will.
Sorry, I assume cut you off. I know it's Father's Day, but we can't forget the ladies here. I mean, me and Chad both are very grateful and have great women in our lives. Always have. My mom, his wife now, Nyla, and my wife Jeannie have all, just are great women and have been great to us our whole life, and we couldn't have done it without them. So I know it's Father's Day, but I had to mention that, give them
always.
Shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll wrap it up here. You guys are back in the same city now. I'd imagine that's pretty cool. Does that also mean shared babysitting duties as well?
Well, it's I can't get enough time with the girls. That was honestly a big part of me coming back. I'm born and raised in Charlotte. My whole family's here. It was very hard to leave Charlotte, but we loved the beach now, and we had a good thing going down there. But to raise my youngest son Hank now, not only around our extended family, but for me to be able to be a few miles away from my granddaughters, and for Hank to almost be raised with them as siblings is a really special opportunity. And family is so important to us, to all of us, and to be able to be close. If I get Nash and Hayes back, nieces, nephews, my uncles. We just have a lot of family here that it's awesome to be back, and certainly very cool to be this close to Will. I get to see him every morning. He drags me out and makes me snapping balls and be his gopher, while he's out training. But that's pretty cool too.
All right, guys. Hey, I would never ask either of you to share your actual playbook, but thanks for sharing Life's Playbook with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.